Tonight on Hitasa, we'll look into the prolific works of Joy Keto as well as insights on electrical and electronic waste recycling.
We've done over 10,000 tons of e-waste that we've safely disposed, saving the planet over 14,400 tons of CO2.
Painting with the palette knife has a very long history. As early as the 18th century, artists such as Rembrandt and 19th century artist Paul Cézanne used a palette knife in the creation of their paintings. A palette knife is a blunt tool used for mixing or applying paint with a flexible steel blade. Once a reserve for only mixing paint, the palette knife continues to show its value beyond the brush for many an artist. We link up with uprising fun artist Joy Keto at the Mukuru Art Club, whose journey in art stems from her early days as a young girl.
I did it as a hobby since I found it easier to concentrate in class while drawing, sketching, instead of just listening to the teacher. If I just listen to the teacher, I'll just sleep. So I did it as a hobby, but unfortunately I never got to get in any school that had fine art classes, any art and crafts. Maybe in the private schools they had it, but the private schools and public that I went to, they never had it. So after Form 4, I decided to do it as a career. Yeah, at first my parents were a bit skeptical about it, but they supported me. So I've done it since 2018 as a career. Then now as a profession, I decided to do it full time. I've done it now for approximately 9 months now.
Finding the style that she often uses today took a lot of effort and attempts with various mediums.
During school, we were not taught about styles or anything. It was so diverse, so we used to be taught literally a diverse way, black and white, smooth, mixed media, so there wasn't really a specific style. So when I came to this place for attachment, that's where I did my first textured work, which was this car. I tried doing it with that car. Then it was quite impressive, and I loved working with texture because it wasn't okay. I just loved working with texture. Then I did brushes. Last year I did a lot of practices to just realize what I really love doing. Even if you look at my work, there are brushes, there are all kinds. So the brushes one, it was when I was starting, then I started working with palettes last year.
Being a fine artist revolves around using different materials, something that has seen Joy find unique ways to explore each medium.
I use acrylics, I use oils, mixed media, charcoal. Most of my works have the background charcoal works. Yeah, there are also some paintings I've used fabrics. Charcoal, it gives me a really nice contrast, especially when I work with it in the background, and plus it always looks really nicely sketchy, and plus when I work on the painting now, the paint will pop out of the subject will pop out of the background, and plus it's nice to manipulate charcoal on canvas, but with specific charcoals. I also love working with oils. It's just that when I work with oils, I'm limited to using charcoal. Because I get messy with my paintings. So if I mess with oils, it's not gonna be easy to scrape it off, or it can be scraped off, but it won't bring me a very good effect that I would like. So with acrylics, I can easily just frame it again, or just work on it with charcoal.
Her inspiration goes a long way in not only showing art as a reflection of society, but also a key conversation starter in different spheres of life.
I'm inspired by the dynamic world that we live in, especially in Nairobi. I'll get inspired because there's a lot going on, and plus I always try to like capture the beauty in everything that I see, and mostly I express myself and maybe express other people their beauty through women and children. I paint mostly women and children. I always hope to achieve in every piece of work. As someone looks at my painting, I want them to like feel a serene environment, just to feel like some emotional connection. So I put a lot of energy in my works.
We now get into Kito's workspace as she takes us through her creative process.
I'm working on the I Am Woman series. It's a series of these paintings, the women. It's basically all about the modern woman and the beauty. I'm trying to express the beauty in them and how they overcome the challenges that they go through and still are able to like maintain themselves and their beauty. They don't let like the hardships, they don't let them look like their problems. I do sketch on canvas, and if it's like a concept that I'm not really sure of it, I'll sketch it like several times on book. Sometimes I can even work on a sketch that I did like 2 years ago. Some paintings I do use a reference, and some paintings I do not. And if I use a reference, most of the times it doesn't come out as a reference. Maybe I just use a reference for maybe the pose, or how it looks, or I just use myself as a reference. The thing I love about texture is that I'm able to like sculpt. I always feel like I'm sculpting, so it's really fun.
Exhibiting her work has come with so much joy and excitement as people interact with her work.
I always like put a lot of energy in it because I know what I want the viewer, the audience to look at, to feel something about it, because there's a lot of energy over there. So there's something that they'll feel, but not all audiences will feel the same thing. Maybe somebody else will come and say, I feel something about this painting reminds me of this and this, but other client will be like something different. So before I even tell like the client or what I really intended him to say, I always like ask him like, what do you think about the painting? What do you feel like when you look at it?
With almost a year now in the industry, Joy admits it has not been easy as there are many challenges, especially in earning an income.
Art at first, especially when you're just an upcoming artist and you don't have that recognition yet, it's challenging because they won't be like cash flow. So like last year I used to like depend mostly on commissions to survive, because that's where you get fast money. But in personal projects you can get that maybe this year, maybe this month, especially in the COVID month, a lot of artists were affected because there were no sales like compared to before. So my mom was like, why don't you just get employed? If I was to give up on it, I'll give up if I've had maybe over 500 pieces. So what I just encourage myself with is that I just need to be consistent.
Joy believes there is a place for many an artist to be more successful in art after going through art school.
I wouldn't be the artist that I am today if it wasn't for my academics. because I can compare when I was in high school how I used to draw. I still have the pieces that I used to draw back in high school and primary. I didn't know much, but I went to the university without even knowing how to paint, how to even hold a brush. I didn't know that. So in the university, you get, in the art industry, in the art school, you get to meet a lot of artists who, like, because 60% of my studies, I would say 60% or more, I learned from students over there, first years, second years. They just teach you. Once they see you, maybe they can give you some hack or trick or how to blend, because I was taught mostly by the students.
Someone to look up to and find inspiration from is always a huge motivation in the art industry. For Joy, a few big names stand out.
I get inspired by Adam Masava and Patrick Mukabe. Then internationally, I've done some master studies of Pablo Picasso and also Van Gogh. So I've studied them. There was also some cubism that I did, especially in Frida Kahlo. The way she was crippled, but that didn't stop her from working. She still created, and she created a lot of pieces, even no matter the relationships problems that she had. So I was like, these are just minor challenges. No matter, okay, for me it will be big challenges because I'm the one facing them, not somebody else. But I also look at the challenges out here. Then I just walk around. Most of the time when I feel like I'm gonna have a burnout, I just walk around and I get inspired. Maybe travel to another gallery or go look at some other artists working, just get to another new environment and just come back and feel really, really inspired.
Despite the numerous challenges she faces on a day-to-day, Joy identifies with a need for determination, especially as a female artist.
As a female, we have a lot of expenses to do, so you want to take care of yourself, maintain yourself. So you get, like, once my mom just told me that, why don't you just get married? You're a woman, just get married, you don't have to struggle na marangi, and ananitanga Mrs. Marangi. So I was like, no, this is really what I want to do, and no matter the fact that I'm a female, it doesn't really stop me from doing what I want, because I'm still a human. There's just some feminine energy in ladies' paintings. So as long as you're creating, a lady will always put, like, let's take an example of Amina's painting. Like, there will always be that feminine energy. So just don't, like, ignore the feminine part of you. It's you, it's part of you, you can't change that. So you shouldn't, like, have so much pressure in trying to control what you can't control. The feminine part of you and the feminine energy that you put in a piece of art, it's what makes it even more valuable.
Art is gaining momentum in the Kenyan industry with improved public reception, but the question remains whether it is defined an industry strong to enable artists earn a living.
I have done these exhibitions and everything for quite a less time, but from my observation, I would say that there are people who really appreciate art in Kenya, but there are other people who have these, what will I call it? I will call it like a belief that Wakenya hawezi nunua pesa kwa hiyo pesa mingi. They can't buy art for that much money. Ati hii kazi appreciatiwa tu countries zingine. But I've met Kenyans who will even offer to, like, pay in installments, especially for commissions.
As the art piece finally comes to life, here is a word of advice from the joyous Kito.
Keep on creating, even if you want to create, like, a really good piece, and also don't be so into perfection. I feel like before, if I wasn't so much into perfection, I wouldn't have had the art blocks to burn out. Art is fun. It shouldn't, if you're taking it even as a career, you shouldn't, like, take it too serious, because you're doing what you love. So if it's what you love, it won't be so much fun if like put so much pressure on yourself. So keep on creating, even if you're not creating, like just do something that baby sketches that you really love doing, ataka money, something that you don't, just do it for yourself. Just don't focus so much on, yeah, selling is important, but also it can lead into too much pressure of perfectionism.
Here's a look at what's to come after the break.
We've done over 10,000 tons of e-waste that we've safely disposed, saving the planet over 14,400 tons of CO2.
This week on Crosstalk.
I am already tired of leaders saying, Vijana, we will create more job opportunities for you.
If you depend on a politician to develop your economy, it will never develop.
Yes.
Because a politician always thinks about the next election.
The number of unemployed people is close to 7.9 million. And I know with COVID, we could be doing almost 8 million, 9 million people.
That's this Sunday at 8 p.m.
E-waste is becoming the world's fastest domestic waste stream, mainly contributed by high consumption rates of electronic equipment, brief lifespan, and few repair options. In 2019, the world generated 53.6 million tons of e-waste. E-waste has immense negative effects on the environment, this influencing climate change. Changing the narrative in Kenya is Waste Electrical and Electronic Equipment Center under the leadership of Bonnie Mbidi that provides e-waste collection, dismantling and automated processing services in Nairobi and other major cities in the country.
When we started, there was nobody else was doing electronic waste, and we were doing IT, with our sister organization, Computers for Schools Kenya. So we felt we interacted with technology, but nobody was paying attention to how now that technology is taken care of when it is no longer working. And then that informed us to also do research to understand how to manage the electronics, considering that they have heavy metals, they're very toxic. So it's not only harmful to the environment, but also to human health. So we solve both an environmental problem and also a health problem. So the heavy metals that are found in electronics, which are thousands of them, they cause a lot of different illnesses if they are not properly taken care of. So if they are thrown to the river, whether it's a dump site, they will emit greenhouse gases. If they are thrown to rivers or to the environment, they will also emit or pollute the waters, pollute the soils. So we felt we needed to take responsibility for that.
As a business in its early days, aiming to figure out a model that would sustainably work, there would be challenges.
At that point, we were just collecting e-waste, mostly from schools, old computers, and then getting parts that we could use to repair other computers. So we take the old ones, take parts, and then repair others, make them work, then send them back to beneficiaries. That's how it started. And then we moved from that to now being able to find out what about the ones that don't work, because now we were first focusing on the ones that can be repaired or we can get parts. And then slowly started developing partners, both in Kenya and outside Kenya. Most of them are outside Kenya, for us to now understand how to also take care of the problematic fractions and the fractions that we could not need locally. And then it went to now dismantling, which is a manual process, which is still something that we still do. The dismantling part of it, it's one of the most important parts of e-waste management, how you dismantle and separate the different fractions.
Despite creating jobs at the time, They were keen on finding solutions for most of the electrical and electronic waste.
Now it's growing. We have a lot of solutions, as you'll see. We're able to remanufacture even equipment. So it went from just taking in the e-waste and dismantling and then repairing what can be repaired and then reusing and refurbishing to even now going into remanufacturing and even moving to manufacturing, whereby we're able to get certain raw materials from the electronics and they'll be used for our industries in Kenya. Others are shipped to countries that have more technology to be able to extract certain components and not harming the environment or the people doing it. So there's been different growth in terms of how much capacity we have as an organization.
The social impact today is tremendous, just going to show the importance of closing the gap between this emerging problem and the impact it is having on our environment.
We've created over 600 jobs across. I think even the number is bigger, indirectly. And then also when you look at, we've done over 10,000 tons of e-waste that we've safely disposed. This means saving the planet over 14,400 tons of CO2. These are just numbers and statistics that make us feel that we are contributing positively to the society. We have taken the e-waste conversation a notch higher. When we were starting, nobody was really focused on the sector, but we've constantly created awareness. We do sensitization, we do advocacy. We have a lot of people visit We Center now to learn. We host students across the country every week. Every week we have a calendar of different universities, different colleges, primary schools, secondary schools who visit to learn about the work we do, promoting the circular economy, whereby we are keeping materials in circulation and equipment being used until they can no longer be used. So I feel those are some of the things that make us proud as a company.
A ban on the dumping of electronic waste in the region received a boost after the East African community prohibited the importation of cathode ray tubes, CRTs, and standalone used computer monitors with effect from 1st of July 2022. This comes after numerous concerns that firms in developed countries were exporting these items to developing countries.
The issue of dumping is a conversation that has been ongoing. I think for now, the dumping that is happening is illegal dumping because we have certain treaties, international treaties that control that movement of electronic waste from a developed country to a developing one. We have the Basel Convention. So the Basel Convention controls that movement of e-waste from a developed country to a developing nation. So countries that are privy to such treaties, at least it's able to make sure that there's no dumping. We have the Bamako Convention, which is, it controls the same movement now, but from a developing country to a developing country. So, but what is lacking is the information and the awareness. So you might find, yes, Kenya is privy to this and we've signed it very well, but have we trained the authorities? Do we know, are the people at the ports of entry, are they aware of this information? Are they aware that these items are not supposed to be dumped? I don't think they are.
Engaging the community is another major focus for the center, so as to ensure there is social responsibility and accountability from the public.
For us, whatever makes us happy is seeing the contribution. We're always happy when we receive e-waste, when we see people reaching out on our social media platforms, saying, I live in this place, I have this electronic waste, and I know We Center will safely take care of it. So that has really grown. We have estate drives that we run in Nairobi and other towns, where we go into different estates, put our collection bins and vehicles, and then we're able to collect from the communities. So I would say the appreciation that we are getting from the general public is really good, whereby they have confidence in us being able to take care of their e-waste, and they even become our ambassadors. We cannot only be the ones speaking about this. So I am very humbled when I see different people saying on Twitter, on social media, take your e-waste to waste center. Yeah? There is one that I saw, somebody just asked, so where can I dispose my e-waste? And then somebody came and shared all the waste center contacts, said these guys will be able to assist with making sure that it's safely disposed.
Bonnie believes that despite the progress they have made thus far, there is still a lot that needs to be done in terms of advocacy and creating more awareness.
We still have a bigger population that does not understand the dangers of e-waste. They also do not understand why it is important to take care of e-waste, and they also probably do not know that waste center is there to safely take care of your e-waste. So the awareness, the sensitization is something that is still needed. One of the things that happened, because we've been really engaging the government for a long time in advocacy of all these things, coming up with the proper regulations. So in the CBC curriculum, there is an aspect of environment, yeah, and that aspect of environment, it still has an aspect of e-waste in it. And it's something that we really wanted it to happen the way it has happened, so that people, as they grow, they already grow knowing environment should be properly taken care of, and e-waste for that matter. You don't start converting people when they're adults. Yeah? So that is something that I feel we've made some progress, but we still need to have all stakeholders and anybody in the value chain of e-waste and electronics being aware. So that's government, importers, transporters of electronics, manufacturers, recyclers. So there's still so much that needs to be done when it comes to awareness. But if you look at it globally, because what we are doing is also related to climate change mitigation. So there is, and circular economy. So there's been now a lot of advocacy and talk about climate change, which also now gives us a good playing field where now you're able to bring in e-waste as part of that conversation.
Dumped electrical and electronic waste threatens lives and contributes by large to global warming. In a quest to curb this overarching problem, this is a call to action to the general public and all stakeholders involved to be more responsible towards the environment.
If our environment is destroyed, all these other things will not work. So it starts with us taking care of the environment. And then when it comes to us, like things to do with cancer. One of the leading causes of cancer is improper disposal of electronic waste, because you're now exposing people to all these heavy metals. You know? So if we can even tackle that aspect of e-waste management, it means even the country will save a lot of money that we use for cancer treatment. Yeah. So I feel we still need to be more self-conscious. For us as a company, we cannot do everything. So we still need everybody to take responsibility of their waste, including e-waste. We've set up collection centers. We've set up now in Mombasa, Kisumu, Nakuru, Nyeri, and we're setting up others. We've set up drop-off points, like all the Carrefour supermarkets have e-waste bins. We have about 56 or 59 Safaricom shops in the country that have e-waste bins that people can go and dispose, and it will come to waste center. We'll be setting up in other places, but we cannot set up and take the e-waste. So it has to start from the consumer, you know, and even put that responsibility on your vendor, the person who sold you an item. You ask now, when it reaches end of life, is there a way it can be safely managed?
That's it for tonight's show. Remember, you can share your thoughts, questions and comments to the SMS line 20316 or WhatsApp on 0786 316 316. Next time on Hitasa.
We have educated students here wenye even kwa society watu walikuwa wanaona they have nothing to offer.
I want to tell African stories through my artwork. So I try to use some of the symbols and emblems from the past, but with a more modern and contemporary feel.